All right, people, aloha, and welcome to Save America, Vote Tulsi Gabbard. I am Dave. I am your flawed but devoted host who sees things and then tells it like it is, according to my point of view. I am not a garden variety progressive. I don't do groupthink. I don't do tribalism. I don't do identity politics. So, if you're those things and you want to go and get your resistance fed, then find another channel. There are plenty of them out there. I am devoted to Tulsi Gabbard and her campaign, but I'm also devoted to the idea that our politics have to be better and our discourse with one another has to be better. I don't think progressives who are calling people bigots and fascists and homophobes and any other name right now is productive, is helpful, especially if you don't know a person's heart and what they're thinking. And I see this all the time on Twitter, and I'm becoming a little, I guess, squeamish now to go over onto Twitter because a lot of the people that have followed me over there are thinking I'm some kind of a lockstep progressive on every issue, and I'm not. I'm not going to go down the road of accusing everybody in the world of being a racist, okay? It's getting old, and if you want to win a general election, you can't focus on those things and those issues that are dividing people who would listen to your message. They'd listen to your message about Medicare for all if you weren't talking, for instance, that the Russians have completely invaded our government or our election system and have hacked everything because, number one, there's no evidence of that, and number two, it's a paranoid, delusional conspiracy theory. So before I move on, I want to let Tulsi's sister talk for a bit because she's great. She's been great during this campaign, and she's got an important update if you haven't seen this video, and then I'll talk about that a little bit and then go back to the original topic.
I'm Vrindavan, Tulsi's sister. Tulsi's at Army National Guard duty this weekend, so we are working...
Okay, she's at Army National Guard duty this weekend. You're not going to find a candidate ever like this anywhere who's actually serving the country, putting kind of her money where her mouth is, or I don't know if that's the right expression, but basically backing up her words with actions.
To get her 100,000 donors by midnight on Sunday. This will keep us on track for the 130,000 that we need to get her on the debates in September. We got this. We only need 800 more donors to make this 100,000 mark. So please donate if you haven't. If you have donated, get your family and friends to donate. Every single donation counts, even if it's $1. We thank you for your love and support. Aloha.
All right. So that is Tulsi's sister, who, by the way, has the same smile that Tulsi has. You watch her talk and her spirit and the way she's like, we got this. Folks, this is an optimistic, upbeat campaign. This isn't a campaign that tears other people down. I understand recently Tulsi was in a little bit of a dust-up with Kamala Harris, with regards to what Harris did in the last debate, which helped Harris quite a bit in the polls and also probably boosted her fundraising. But Tulsi's done the opposite. Tulsi is getting a lot of criticism and a lot of flack for not doing the whole race baiting thing and going back 45 years to analyze a policy that has no bearing on what's happening right now. It's, again, just trying to litmus test and trying to focus on something that, again, isn't really crucial to the issues that we're facing today. If you want to talk about race, talk about it in the context of doing more to help empower black and brown people in this country, and stop focusing on the past, because we could all have a grievance mentality if we did that. And this again, leads into this whole discussion about what's happening on Twitter, why I'm feeling less and less comfortable around progressive people who have some great ideas on how to move the country forward, but they also have some crippling ideas as far as discourse and how they interact with others that don't share maybe some of their social views, or accusations of people looking at really the worst of human nature and just assuming that because you're a certain color or gender or you come from a certain area that, let's just broad brush everybody and assume the worst of everybody. By the way, Trump supporters, people who are still struggling in this economy, who are hearing all of the good economic numbers but are still kind of struggling out there, those are the people that are basically ripe for the picking as far as moving them over to a more progressive view on things like Medicare for all, a living wage, and so forth. But what people are doing instead, they're just hurling insults, and really nasty insults, at Trump supporters. What is probably going to end up happening, and folks aren't going to want to hear this, is that either people are going to stay home or they're just going to vote for Trump again. They're going to say, you know what, maybe my circumstances haven't improved all that much, but I like what he says, or there's some aspect of what he's doing that is going to make people content to vote for him again. I know his poll numbers, I think, are at like 44% right now, which for him is pretty good. And so, to think this isn't going to be a formidable task to beat him is really to underestimate what happened the last time around. And if you're looking, for a tribal solution to this problem, there isn't one. The only solution to this problem is talking about ideas, talking about policies. And when we talk about Tulsi Gabbard, we've got videos here. She's talking about the failed war on drugs. She's talking about regime change wars. I did a video which was demonetized, and by the way, this one will probably get demonetized as well. I will put a link in the description for my PayPal email. What happens is the videos are demonetized for a day or two, and then, after they've all been viewed, in which, then the viewership goes down, that's when they monetize the video, which means I don't get barely anything for the videos that I've been posting. I'm doing better because the channel continues to pick up more subscribers, but overall, it's almost as if they've got the entire system rigged as to how they can cut down on my income. Of course, they never give me a reason as to why they're demonetizing. They just have a vague thing about community guidelines. Obviously, I did an anti-war video, and that, the algorithm went crazy. But what I'm saying is she's got issues here. She talks issues, whether it's the failed war on drugs or the new Cold War and all of the things that have been happening lately, because our government doesn't ever want to wage peace. We're always waging war, and that may sound like a cliche. Recently, she also read something from JFK, I believe it was on Twitter, where she read a statement about JFK and what his views were at the time on waging peace and not, jumping to war, at the first opportunity to do so. And obviously JFK was assassinated, and there are all kinds of theories behind that. I'm not going to go down the conspiracy trail here. I'm just going to say that we haven't had a candidate like JFK since JFK, although I think Tulsi Gabbard channels some of those. We've heard before, if a candidate looked like JFK or sounded a little like JFK, then, they were good looking and so forth, and they were JFK reincarnated. A lot of people thought Barack Obama had a lot of those characteristics. Maybe not the physical characteristics, but he certainly, in the beginning, had this youthful, energetic, utopian vision for the country. I think Tulsi Gabbard is far more of a realist, and the way she views the world is, I think, it's a very positive vision for humanity and for our country. So, in any event, very important to get Tulsi to 100,000 donors by midnight today. So this video will drop on Sunday. And make sure when you have discourse with people who might not share your political views, that you're not just hurling invective at them and calling them a fascist. I mean, fascist is such an incredibly strong word, and people are now dumbing down the impact of these words. They've already done it with racist, and they're doing it with supremacist, too. That's another word that is really losing the punch that it once had because it's being thrown out so much. And I don't know if it's the fact that people have been educated differently over the past 20 years, but we're never going to have a proper relationship with each other as human beings if we assume the worst of one another and we're talking past each other and we're not talking to each other. And that's just my view on it, and you can disagree with it. A lot of people do, and there are a lot of other channels that you can turn on to get your fix of tribalism and the resistance movement. But what you're resisting is you're resisting getting along with your fellow human beings, your fellow Americans who don't agree with your perspectives. If you want to have a dialogue, two people have to talk. As soon as you call someone an ugly name, they're going to call you a name back, or they're just going to withdraw from the conversation, which again, we've got a lot of very pressing issues that our country has to deal with. And endless war is at the top of my list, and for a lot of people who understand what this means to the future of our country, those people are on board with Tulsi Gabbard, and it's Tulsi or bust for a lot of people. Some people will consider Bernie. I'll consider Bernie if he adopts a stronger stance on all of this regime change war stuff. But until I see that, until, the first votes are cast in Iowa, first caucuses and first votes are cast in New Hampshire, it's Tulsi or bust. So, all right, I'm done. I'll be back soon. See you then. Aloha.